and take a seat. We want to welcome you on this beautiful spring day to our the Great Salt Lake Shorelands Preserve. This is a really special spot and one we wanted to showcase a little bit today. I will admit that when we planned this, we had dreams of 70-degree days, but we're not quite there yet. We especially want to welcome our students who are here with us, who worked so hard on one of our bills with Representative Lesser. We're glad that you are here. Welcome members of the legislature. We'll get moving with this as quickly as possible. So, for the second year in a row, Utah's legislative session concluded with significant investments and a long list of bills targeting water conservation, efficiency, and infrastructure, all things that are so important to us. And appropriations totaling over $500 million in one-time investments and $164 million in ongoing funding. I just want to recognize last year's $500 million in funding as well, putting us over $1 billion. Certainly, Mother Nature is doing her part as well. And we're very excited to have 50 million gallons of water a day going into the Great Salt Lake, seeing that lake rise over 3.5 feet already, and at least 2 to 4 feet to go, maybe more. I will have to say we just drove through Rich County and through Cache Valley, and there is still a lot of snow up there. It hasn't even started coming down in most spots. So I just want to mention that around last year at this time, 99% of the state was experiencing severe drought. Right now, only 7% of the state is experiencing. That's just a miracle, and we're grateful for it. But this is not a time to relax. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. We've been handed a gift, and this is our opportunity to take that gift and conserve it and preserve it so that we are ahead of the game instead of playing from behind where we've been now for a couple years. I will just mention we're projecting now, with the exception of our very largest lakes and reservoirs. So, with the exception of Bear Lake, Strawberry, the Great Salt Lake, and Lake Powell, we expect every other reservoir to be filled this year. In fact, we were talking to some of the water buffaloes up in northern Utah. They have reservoirs that they could empty and fill 5 times with the amount of water that they're seeing now, which means that the other 4 times will end up here, which is great news for the Great Salt Lake and Bear Lake as well. So, let me just say this: I appreciate all those who are working on flooding. We know how critical that is right now. We appreciate that. We appreciate the great help that our counties and cities are giving to our citizens to make sure that we're protecting those who may be subject to flooding. Today, we are the water conservation piece and some of the other related pieces that have come along, and are the sound of as it echoes over the Great Salt Lake. So let's go ahead and get started. Most of you have seen this before. It's not your first rodeo, but for those that are here for the first time, what we will do is we have a bunch of bills we'll move through as quickly as possible. We know we had several legislators who could not join us today, and so we've asked Joel Ferry, who will step in and help explain some of those bills as he worked on them. And we will ask the bill sponsors to come up, and anyone they would like to come up for a photograph. The Lieutenant Governor and I will sign as quickly as we possibly can. I am going to audible a little bit. We're not going to sign that entire stack of bills right there. We're just going to sign 2 of each one, and we can sign those later for the others who will get additional copies of those. And then we'll have the bill sponsor come up, and if the other sponsor is here as well, they're welcome to say a few words. Your blast. I already signed it. You don't have to convince anyone here. We all think they're great ideas. So just share a few words about how you got there and why this bill is important, and then we'll move on. So we're going to start with HB 150. This is the Emergency Water Shortages Amendments. The bill sponsor was Representative Carl Albrecht, who is here with us. The Senate sponsor is Senator McKell. Representative Albrecht, I know you're here somewhere. Come on up and join us, and anybody else who you'd like to come up. Would you like to just say a few words about the bill? Just tell people what it's about. So.
Toughest bill I ever run in my life.
Yes, it was.
We had a committee that met for 11 months, twice a month for an hour and a half on Zoom. About 40 misunderstood this bill when it first came out, but it establishes a framework in an emergency situation. Say we lost a dam up one of these canyons to flooding or earthquake or terrorism or whatever it might be, and we have to take someone's water rights to meet culinary, sanitary, electric generation, so forth. There's a repayment facet to the bill, which is a great thing. We didn't want to go back to the bill that was there before, which gives the DNR director and the state engineer all that authority. So this is an established framework that gives the governor and the DNR director and the state engineer some direction, and then the legislature oversees all that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry, I should have done that either way.
I might just say too that the Farm Bureau, the Department of Ag, the Eagle Forum, and the Women's Voter Forum, whatever, they all supported that 100%. And when you get to all those parties on the bottom line, it's a good bill.
All right, let's get a picture right here, guys. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, the moment you've all been waiting for, or at least our younger crowd has been waiting for. This is HB 137, the state crustacean designation. Representative Lesser.
Thank you very much. You know, there are so many things that are exceptional about our state, but one thing that is truly unique is that we have the only inland state with a state crustacean. Every other state crustacean is a coastal state, but since the Great Salt Lake, it's the largest saline lake in North America, it's only fitting and proper that the keystone species in this lake be the state crustacean. This is a bill that was all initiated from this amazing group of students who were sixth graders at Emerson Elementary. They learned how a bill works all the way from the initial idea to presenting in committee to waiting for the final vote. And so this is great on so many levels to recognize this important species and its role in the ecosystem of this amazing Salt Lake, but also more importantly, that we have a group of students who believe in our government process and learn how this all works. So thank you everybody for being here today.
Thank you, Representative. Congratulations, you guys. This is awesome. I also have to say that it's much better than when we tried to pass a state dog and all the third graders showed up and the bill went down in flames. It was a good civics lesson, just one that they'll all remember for sure. So we could agree on a state crustacean, though.
They're now state crustacean socks.
That's awesome. Representative,
Thank
I'll give
you.
you a copy of that. And Senator Plum, I'll give you this copy, and then we'll have some other copies before you leave. Where's Senator Plum? There you are. There you are. It's good to see you. All right, let's all grab one of these. Let's all smile for a picture here. Perfect. Thanks, you guys. Congratulations again. Well done. All right. Next up, we have HB 307, Utah Waterways. This was sponsored by Cal Musselman, and the Senate sponsor was Senator Sandel. And Representative Musselman is here.
My good friend Joel Ferry, him and I served a few years back, and every time he spoke, all I ever heard him say was water, 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 and I've teased him about it ever since. And recently, he's been doing a lot of cloud seeding, and so we've dubbed it fairy dust. And but enough with the fairy dust. We've got enough snow.
Yeah.
It's been great. Utah Waterways, it's a great way to leverage private dollars and to hopefully message in a way that is a little more sophisticated and targeted, so the public understands what they can do to make a difference specifically in their areas, as well as community. It's meant to be one source, not to replace any other organization necessarily, but a source that the public knows to go to, and the organizations know to go to. A one-stop place, one place to get information. With all the plethora of information as in the water world, we believe this will be intensely helpful, especially being able to leverage those private dollars.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hi, nobody likes me.
Come join Joel.
Joel, come up here.
Districts.
Let's wait till we get some other people.
This is a great bill.
It is.
Good job, Cal.
It is a great bill. For those of you kind of wondering what the equivalent is like, we have an air quality. What's it called? UCare. Thank you. Sorry, I just blanked for a minute. UCare. This is kind of the water version of UCare. So a really, really awesome opportunity. All right. I've got it right here.
Oh, okay.
Cal, there's that one. Thank you. Okay. Else? All right, Cal. Give that to your senator. Okay. All right. Next up.
Good job, Cal.
Joel, we'll just have you stay up here. Landscaping requirements, HB 450. Chief sponsor was Ryan Wilcox. Senate sponsor was Senator McKell.
Okay. Thank you, Governor. And HB 450 deals with some landscaping requirements. When you think about here on the Wasatch Front, about 35% of the water that we use is used in our municipalities, municipal and industrial use. Okay. 65% of that water is used for outdoor watering. So a majority of the water that we use here in the cities on the Wasatch Front by the millions of people that live here is used to water outdoors. So what this bill does is it says that an HOA can't require more than, say, a 50% landscape coverage or grass coverage, and that it promotes. So sometimes when we think of like efficient landscapes, we think of like rocks and gravel and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be very beautiful vegetation. So what this does is it specifically says encourages vegetative cover, but there's desert plants that are very drought tolerant that we can utilize to really enhance our landscapes, and they can be beautiful. So that's what this bill does. It sets a model that I think other states will start to follow. Utah's leading the way, and this is how we lead out. So thank you.
Thanks, Joel.
And let me just give a shout out, recognize Representative Wilcox and Senator McKell for running this legislation.
And yes, Joel's going to be speaking to a lot of bills, so just up here. Oh yeah. The other day. All right, you can just hold that up. Okay, smile. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have. No, it's right here. Okay. Next up, we have HB 491, amendments related to the Great Salt Lake. The chief sponsor was Mike Schultz. The Senate sponsor was Scott Sandel.
Ben, come up. Kim, this impacts your department. Come on up too. So this one is dubbed House Bill 491 is dubbed the Great Salt Lake Commissioner Bill. As we got into dealing with issues associated with Great Salt Lake, we recognized there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen on this subject. We really needed a central point that we could say this person is going to be responsible to help navigate us through all the issues associated with Great Salt Lake. Because you think about it, it impacts going up these watersheds. It impacts a huge portion of our state, basically from Juab County up to Rich County, from the Nevada border to the Wyoming, Wyoming border, right? Up to Idaho. This area it's enormous. And so we needed a central coordinator position. And that's what this bill does. It also puts some funding towards additional efforts and initiatives on Great Salt Lake. And it helps us so we can better manage this precious resource we have here in the state. As the governor mentioned, we're up almost 4 feet on the Great Salt Lake today. It's huge. Some of the efforts that we've done really have made a big difference, the forward-thinking nature of our legislature and the citizens of the state of Utah. So I think that we can all say, good job. Let's keep up the fight. And this Great Salt Lake Commissioner position is going to help us do just that.
I will tell you, we will be advertising for this position soon, and we hope to have hired someone when the budget kicks in around the 1st of July. So hope to have somebody on staff by then. All right.
Oh, and Representative Schultz and Senator Sandel ran this bill. So
Thank you. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Next up, we'll get into our Senate bills now. Senate Bill 76, water amendments. The chief sponsor was Scott Sandel. The House sponsor was Representative Snyder and Joel.
Okay. Well, let me just say this, Governor. You know, there was a lot of water legislation. Some people dubbed this as the Year of Water Part 2, and it kind of was. And it was neat for me to kind of start out. A year ago, I was at this meeting as a legislator, and to come full circle and now be at DNR and be able to see the implementation of a lot of this legislation has been really neat for me personally. And this is one of those examples where we have, this bill specifically looks at how do we utilize the ARTO fund, the loan fund at the Department of Agriculture. It sets in place the way that we plan. So part of what we're dealing with is, things that were put in place 20, 30 years ago. This will establish a plan. It's a coordinated effort between Department of Agriculture, Water Resources, and water rights so that we can plan for the future, right? We expect a lot of people to move to the state where it's an awesome place to live. Another 2.5 million people are going to come here right on the Wasatch Front. How do we plan for that many people? And this bill gives us the resources that we need as state agencies to prepare and plan for that. So, and this bill again was run by Senator Sandel and Representative Snyder. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll just add that one of the things I appreciate most about these bills is the way that they are forward thinking, that we're not just thinking 2 years or 4 years ahead as elected terms, but that we are looking 20 or 30 years ahead and preparing for the future. We've survived this drought because people made really important decisions 50 years ago, 100 years ago that have helped us be where we are today, and we need to make sure we're prepared for the future. So thank you. All right. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, next up, switching gears just a little bit, SB 92. This is special license plate designation. The chief sponsor was Senator Plum, and the House sponsor was Paul Cutler. Oh, Paul is here. Paul is here. Representative Cutler, come join us.
Sean, we have Sean with us too. I don't know if he's willing.
Yeah, Sean, anyone else, please come up.
Maybe just be you and I. There's not much that, oh good.
There he
Sean.
is.
Not much one needs to say about a new license plate designation. License plates are certainly the bane of some, but also I think a really exciting opportunity to make folks, be united in something. And that is that we'll all care about the Great Salt Lake. We all want it to be around. We'd all like it to still be here. So you just have to pause for a second. Those noises are pretty cool, aren't they? Oh, sorry, I get squirrely. Anyway, this is a bill that will allow us to have a Great Salt Lake license plate that will put money into a fund where folks can then apply to get grants in education and research and promotion spaces. And there will be a website. You can sign up for the license plate there. You can see the design forthcoming soon. So, as a freshman legislator, it just felt like a great opportunity to be able to do something about a cause that I think we all care about. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. It's a great bill. Well done. Just have to tell you, we're chatting today, and if we have another year like this one, we might have to fire those pumps back up. So I'm glad for this license plate in more ways than one as we think about the Great Salt Lake. So, all right, I'm going to give you a copy of that.
I know I get really boots.
Thank you. All right, picture.
Wait, you gotta get a picture with your signed one. Oh, wait.
Okay, I'll hand it to you after the picture.
Okay, we'll
all
hold
right.
it together.
Part of being governor is I get to hold one of these. That's all I would say. There you go, Paul. Thank you.
You gotta play to what you can.
That's right. All right. We've only got 3 left. So I know our young people are like, wow, this is taking so long and it's so boring. We passed a state crustacean in less time than it takes to do this. Senate Bill 118, water efficient landscaping incentives. Again, the chief sponsor was Senator Sandel. The House sponsor was Representative Doug Owens. Keep going, and
yes,
anybody else?
Let's keep going. I'm going to ask. Let's see, Candace and Teresa and I don't know, whoever else worked on this legislation. So this one, water efficient landscape incentives. Last year, we created a turf buyback program where in our cities and our park strips and other areas we have grass. I've heard it said if the only time you ever walk on your grass is when you mow it, you probably don't need grass there. Probably do something else. And so this bill creates an incentive to help support this turf buyback program. So if someone in the city wants to convert to a more water efficient landscape, they can get a rebate, an incentive to do that. And it's in coordination with our water districts and our other water distribution companies. And this will help us really focus, kind of like my comments before. A lot of the water use in our cities is done water. This will really refine that, hone in on that, and it's really forward thinking in how we manage our lands and our development. So that's what this bill does.
Thank you, Joe. I'll just add that as we announced this last year, the turf buyback program, we saw a tremendous response from Utahns who were very interested in this. I think it surprised all of us, the demand that was there for this program. So, thank you. All right. Yeah, get a picture. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, stay here. We'll give you a round of applause. Good job. Okay, are we doing SB 144?
Yes.
SB 144, water in-stream flow amendments. The chief sponsor was David Hinkins, Senator Hinkins, and the House sponsor was Representative Scott Chu.
Okay, thank you, Governor. And this legislation, really forward-thinking legislation as well. So this directly impacts the Colorado River system, and it's working with the and creates what's known as a demand management program. So if our water users, particularly our agriculture producers within the Colorado system, save water, we're just sending that water on down to California. And tell me, who in here likes that? Raise of hands, who likes that? No one, right? We want to make sure that Utah, we are using our water, we're using it wisely, but that we're putting it to use, and doing it in a way that's beneficial to Utahns. It's our water. And so what this does, this says, okay, as a demand management program through the UCR, the Upper Colorado River Commission, and others, we can conserve water and track that and bring it downstream and have that as a reserve for future use to offset any sort of impacts from reductions or other needs. And this is something I think this is this. So we have Amy Hawes here from the Colorado River Commission, as well as Blake and Jared from the State Engineer's Office, and they both worked all of us here up here worked diligently on this legislation. Really good, forward-thinking legislation. Senator Hinkins sponsored this, as well as Representative Chu over from the basin. So good forward-thinking legislation.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just add that as we look at what happened last year and some of the things we're doing this year, we're trying to change the incentives around. We have some disincentives to save water, right? Use it or lose it. This is similar, that you save water, but we don't get any credit for it as a state. And so we want to be able to track that and make sure that we understand where the water is being used and where the water is being saved and what's happening with that saved water, where that's ending up, so we get credit for that. And it's a great way to protect our water rights, but also encourage people to use water the right way. Really proud of this work. Thank you. All right. Congratulations, you guys. Thank you. Great work. All right. Sorry, I forgot the picture. Smile.
I'm standing so far. Like scooch back every time.
Okay, last one. And if y'all will just want to stay up here, we'll just take a picture together. We might as well. And
I'm going to ask a whole bunch of people to come up. Farm Bureau folks, come up. That's you, Ron.
Warren.
I want
Warren.
Hannah,
Jim.
you're up here. Senator, would you mind coming forward? I'm going to ask Senator Stevenson, after I explain what this bill does, I want him to talk just a little bit about some of the funding. Senator Stevenson is our appropriations chair from the Senate, but talk about some of the funding that occurred this year and just,
because we're not doing the funding bills, which were maybe the most important thing we did on water. We did those a long time ago. But water conservation and augmentation, Senate Bill 277, chief sponsor Senator Sandel, House sponsor Representative Snyder.
Yes, and thank you, Governor. And this legislation, some people have called it the most significant piece of water legislation from this last legislative session, and it is. I agree with that. I think that this is game-changing in how we manage and administer and recognize water here in the state of Utah. What this bill does, in addition to having a funding mechanism, this is the bill that set aside $200 million
It's all treated to altar. I think they'll have to treat it in, but it looks amazing. Anyway, to the finance, this has been a very interesting year for the state of Utah. We're very blessed that we had, and that they're not reminding us that we need to be very forward-thinking. So that's what we did. We put money into these different bills that were signed here today, and there was a lot of financing. Other water projects that go from the very basics of our communities up to the state. And God, I told me to tell God once, take credit for raising the flower for I just, it's amazing to look at what we have done, how these communities have grown. This used to be farmland from where you see the homes up here to the mountain. And we've accommodated all of those folks that have moved in. This city, when I grew up, was a city of probably 3,000 people. We've been able to supply the water to a community of over 80,000 people, and all of the other communities that interlock with Layton City. That has been done because we've been forward thinking in the way we've handled these water policies across the state and the way we have partnered with really good organizations.
All right, smile, everybody. Last one. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our bill signing for today. Get warm, and if you get a chance to walk around, make sure you take that opportunity. Thanks, everybody.